Mamba out.
Drippin', saucy, yeah. Bitch, I do this often. My bitch is bad, she always in office. Don't got a tags on running my body. Can't see the pads, I'm living too fast. With 20, my dash, I'm up, but I lost him. He wanna brag, I emptied his bag and took what he had. Don't care what it cost him. Then he broke, he turned to a hoe. I seen him before, the shit is exhausting. Ran out of hope, I wanna be known. The stage of my soul, you Randy Moss.
What's wrong with you, bro? What the heck? You tripping, bro? You tripping?
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Sports Outdoors 80. I am Darius Sims, and that is Aiden. And thank you for joining us on another edition of NFL Playoff Preview here on Sports Outdoors 80. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, make sure to comment down below, and make sure to hit that bell for post notifications for every video and update from our channel. And today we have another edition of our NFL playoff preview. We are previewing every single NFL playoff game for the rest of the season. And Aiden, today we are talking the NFC wildcard game. Probably the best game from the NFC. The Bears at Saints. Of course, the Bears snuck into the playoffs after the Rams defeated the Cardinals. And as we know, the Bears have a dynamic defense. And, of course, Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback drafted over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. So, Aiden, I'm going to give you the floor. Who do you have winning this game? Do you have the Chicago Bears with that dynamic defense, or do you have the Saints?
The only reason the Chicago Bears are in this playoff game at all is their defense. Let me make that very clear. The offense, aside from Allen Robinson, is completely atrocious. I see no consistency. There's no consistent play at the quarterback position. There's no consistent play at the wide receiver position other than Allen Robinson. There's no consistent play at the running back position. Their O-line is okay. It's not top 10. It's not bottom 10 in a way. It's sort of in that middle trajectory here. The only way they're going to win this game is if the defense keeps them in the game. I personally think Khalil Mack is taking a step back. I haven't seen the same Khalil Mack I saw back in 2016, 2017. I haven't seen that Khalil Mack yet. Khalil Mack has been phenomenal. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Khalil Mack has been phenomenal. But I still don't see Defensive Player of the Year Khalil Mack. I haven't seen him this season. Whether that be because of the system he's in, or whether that be because of the people around him, or whether that be because of the attention that they put on Khalil Mack, right? I'm assuming that is the amount of attention that they put on Khalil Mack. And with the Saints O-line, this Saints O-line is top 5 in the league. You got Ryan Ramczyk, you got Andres Pete, you got Teron Armstead. Those are all top 20 O-linemen in this league. I think that they have enough to neutralize Khalil Mack coming off the edge. I think that's enough to neutralize Khalil Mack coming off the edge. Now let's get into Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith, I'll be honest with you, I've been underwhelmed by Roquan Smith. I thought he would have broken out, become a Pro Bowler by now, become this phenomenal shutdown linebacker, I think is the phrase, where he's an automatic tackle. He gives you some interceptions sometimes. Sometimes he's in the pass rush. Sometimes he's doing this. Sometimes he's doing that. I loved Roquan Smith coming out. I still don't see what I need to see from him yet, though. Adrian Amos is phenomenal. He shuts down that middle of the field. Obviously, you got Kyler Fuller, who's a shutdown corner, whose brother Kendall Fuller, fun fact, is also going to be in a playoff game. That is going to be also be in a playoff game. Not on Wild Card Weekend, though. No. Yes. Yeah, he will be a playoff in – excuse me, he plays for Washington, so he will be on a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend. I apologize for that. So, although the Saints probably will be missing their best weapon in four-time Pro Bowler Alvin Kamara, who Darius has some news from a very trusted source about coming up in a minute. Darius, will they have Michael Thomas?
I believe so. I believe that from what I've heard, Michael Thomas is most likely going to be available for this game.
All right. Michael Thomas has been on and off the entire season. I think if he had some consistency, he could be good, but he's been constantly injured. Then he had that fighting scandal. Then he got benched by Sean McVay. It's just overall been a horrible season from the Offensive Player of the Year. Drew Brees, I hope this is Drew Brees' final season. Drew Brees has had 2 back-to-back, not necessarily minor, but definitely not major, but not necessarily major, but definitely not minor injuries. Last year, let's not forget the major thumb injury where I believe he had a high sprain or a somewhat of a fracture on the thumb where he had to sit out a couple of games. This year, obviously, broke 11 ribs, I believe, and punctured a lung. Right, that's extremely horrible and detrimental. I know Drew Brees is 100% now, but I'm just saying that he's still not Drew Brees, and that obviously comes with the old age and things of that nature. I am actually, surprising to most people, I am actually kind of having a hard time picking this game. I've stripped both teams down, and I think in the end I'm going with the Saints because I just trust them. Because I just obviously trust them more because the Bears have no offense. And even without Alvin Kamara and probably that entire running back room, right, the Saints still have something. The Saints still have Drew Brees. The Saints will probably have Michael Thomas. The Saints probably will have Emmanuel Sanders, probably, right there.
Probably he is questionable, I believe. Questionable for this upcoming game.
Will they have Emmanuel Sanders?
I believe he's questionable as well. Questionable for the Saints. Questionable.
All right. So they'll probably have Emmanuel Sanders. They'll probably have Michael Thomas. They will definitely have Drew Brees. They have that amazing O-line that will be able to shut down Khalil Mack. I'm going to have to go with the Saints, which most people think is an obvious pick, but I had a very hard time picking because of the absence of Alvin Kamara. People don't understand how big of a piece Alvin Kamara is to that team. Alvin Kamara isn't just a check down guy for Drew Brees, which has all those passing yards. Drew Brees can throw a short to him, he can throw a mid-range to him. Drew Brees can't throw deep balls like that anymore. He's still accurate, don't get me wrong. Drew Brees is still extremely accurate because he's Drew Brees. But he's not the same Drew Brees. Alvin Kamara is an extremely important safety blanket to him and is an amazing, tremendous help to that team. Obviously, I have Jared Cook in the tight end position that I really like, but hasn't had the same impact he would have had last year. I think you can turn that kind of system. I don't know. But I'm going to go with the Saints here. But by a slimmer margin, if Alvin Kamara is not in the game, if Alvin Kamara is in the game, it's over.
Aiden, I'm most definitely picking the Saints, but the final score I believe is going to be Bears 10, Saints 28, and I give the Saints a 60% chance to win this game. I give them a 60% chance to win this game. Now, why will the Saints win this game? First off, the Saints have a dynamic offense, which is ranked 12th in the NFL, and a phenomenal defense, which is ranked 4th in the NFL, which I believe is a higher ranking than their phenomenal performance last season. Now, the Saints defense will also be able to contain Mitchell Trubisky and Allen Robinson with ease due to a well-rounded defense. Don't forget you got Marshall. I believe you got Marshall and Lattimore. I still believe that Eli Apple, right? Demario Davis.
No, Eli Apple's gone.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Demario Davis. Don't forget Cam Jordan on that D-line. The D-line will have a field day as long as Mitchell Trubisky is stepping back in the pocket. Now, the Bears, as we mentioned, the Bears have limited options, I believe, on offense outside of Allen Robinson III, right? Let's not forget, they don't have Tariq Cohen anymore. They don't have Tariq Cohen. They have, I believe, David Montgomery, which I really haven't heard about him all season long until right now, right? Who else do they have? Excuse me. Who is Mitchell Trubisky going to throw the ball to? Is it going to be Jimmy Graham? Who's going to play? Tony Gonzalez? Aiden? Jimmy Graham is going to show up and be Otto Graham? What? Tony Gonzalez?
Hold up. Jimmy Graham's on the Bears?
Yes, he's still on the Bears.
threw in the towel. Okay.
Right? They got Jimmy Graham. Who else do they have? Nobody. Right? And as I mentioned earlier, the Saints will have a field day because of that dynamic defense, number 4th ranked in the league. And the Saints, as you mentioned, Aiden, the Saints may have some trouble if Alvin Kamara and the running back core is not available due to COVID-19. As Aiden mentioned, I do have some information about Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara was seen maskless publicly at a club one day after his 6th touchdown Christmas performance against the Minnesota Vikings on December 26, 2020. That may have caused Alvin Kamara to test positive for COVID-19, and that may have resulted in the Saints running back core not being available for the Saints' final regular season game last week. And I do believe that the Bears do have a good chance to win this game if Kamara, Latavius Murray, and the rest of that Saints running back core is not playing that game. Because, Aiden, we all know how important Alvin Kamara has been to the Saints this season. With Michael Thomas being out for a period of time, with Drew Brees being out a long period of time, with Taysom Hill stepping in, Emmanuel Sanders dealing with some lingering injuries, Alvin Kamara has been the backbone for the Saints this season time and time again. And if the Saints are without Alvin Kamara, they're going to have some trouble. They're going to have some trouble scoring the ball. Now, look, how can the Bears win this game? Let me tell you how. The Bears have the ability to contain Drew Brees with the talent on their defense. Even though I do believe that some players on that defense could play better. They do. Don't forget, they still have a lot of talent. Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, and so on. And don't forget about Akeem Hicks as well, right? They have a talented defense. Even though the Saints do have a talented offense, if the Bears could contain Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, if he does play, right, and collapse Drew Brees in the pocket, the Bears will have a phenomenal game, right? Secondly, if Alvin Kamara does not play, as I mentioned earlier, the Bears will have a very, very good chance. They have a very, very good chance. If Alvin Kamara does not play, the Bears got lucky if they do eventually win that game. And thirdly, Mitchell Trubisky has to play like the next coming Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning, Aiden Munson. He has to play like the quarterback they expect him to be. He has to play phenomenal. He does not need to play like the quarterback who got benched for Nick Foles. He does not need to play like that quarterback. He needs to play like a Pro Bowl type of quarterback, an all-pro type of QB. He does. Because we all know Marshawn Lattimore is going to lock down Allen Robinson, right? Mitchell Trubisky has to find a way to get the ball out of his hands due to that great Saints D line, right? With Cam Jordan, don't forget that linebacker Demario Davis as well. He needs to find a way to succeed in this Saints game, even without Allen Robinson being open majority of the time. And also, the Bears cannot afford any turnovers in this game. If you give Drew Brees a good field position in his own territory, he will take advantage of that and he will pick at it every time. And the Saints will score time and time again because they have one of the best offenses in the league. Lastly, Aiden Munson, for my final point on how the Bears come in this game. The Bears simply have to put points up on the board. Aiden, did you know the Bears have the 26th ranked offense in the National Football League? 26. Aiden, last time I checked, there are only 32 teams in the NFL. Right? So they're in the same, they're the same building as like the Jets, right? As the Jets and the Jaguars and those other lackluster or trash teams, right? The Bears are in the mix from an offensive standpoint. Now the Bears have to put points up on the board. If you're playing Drew Brees, possibly Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, there's no way you can win that game without scoring more points than them. And I know that's one simple point, but it's a really big point when it comes to the 26th ranked offense in the league facing a a Hall of Fame quarterback, arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league, the reigning Offensive Player of the Year, and arguably a person who has carried the Saints this season, and Alvin Kamara, if he does play. The Bears simply have to put points on the board. Again, my final prediction for this game is Bears 10, Saints 28. But if Alvin Kamara does not play, I still give the advantage to the Saints, but the Bears could capitalize on that. That's all I have to say on this, Aiden. Aiden, do you have a final score for this game?
I do, in fact, have a final score for this game. I have the Saints winning 26-14.
Interesting. Now, Aiden, let's talk about Alvin Kamara for a little bit. Just a little short conversation. I know both of us touched on this, but how big of an impact does Alvin Kamara play if the Saints are without their running back core? Not just him, Alvin Kamara, but without the other running backs in, I believe, Latavius Murray and the third string running back. I believe the same slipped from my mind, but how will the Saints offense function without that run game if those running back core does not play?
Latavius Murray was what they peg as a red zone specialist. All right, he was the in between the tackles guy. Alvin Kamara is more of a run. He can run the ball. You can pass the ball to him. You can do anything you need. Alvin Kamara. Lavonte David was more like between the tackle. Between the tackles. You can get him on goal line situation, things like that. He did a lot for that team in the red zone. Alvin Kamara is that team's offense. Michael Thomas hasn't been with the team for dang near, I don't even think 2 straight games. Alvin Kamara is the Saints' offense at this point. He is the passing attack. He is the running attack. He is whatever you needed him to be. I think that Alvin Kamara, the Saints, and to me, the Saints get too dependent on one player at some point. Alvin Kamara had a big deal last season, but Michael Thomas was a real show there. He broke a freaking record. They feed their stars too much to where the offense becomes overly dependent on that one star, and then they can't function without that star, right? So that's what I mean by when I say Alvin Kamara is basically their entire offense.
Aiden, when you think of the mastermind of Sean Payton and Drew Brees, I believe they go by the phrase or the mantra: "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And if
don't fix it, yeah.
Right, if the running game is going, if Alvin Kamara is playing and is available, they're gonna keep picking at it, gonna keep knitting at it because they know it's working. Because I don't believe that Bears D-line could possibly contain Alvin Kamara. Yet Drew Brees, if he does have enough time in the pocket. Now Drew Brees is not known these past couple seasons for taking deep shots down the field, but the Saints have that type of innovative offense where, hey, if Sean Payton sees something that the Saints could take advantage of, like any other coach, I believe the Saints will pretty much destroy the Bears' defense mentally, emotionally, and physically because, as we know, Sean Payton likes to have a different type of paced offense, and Drew Brees likes to control. He tries to relax in the pocket, and don't forget that great O-line. I believe O-lines in the league. I do believe Drew Brees will have enough time in the pocket to do his thing and play at that future Hall of Fame quarterback we know him to be. And do you have any final words?
It's going to be an interesting game if Alvin Kamara's not playing. A very interesting game.
Alvin Kamara, you better play in this game. If you don't, the Saints are going to be in trouble. That's all I got to say. Thank you for joining us here on our NFL playoff preview of the Bears-Saints game here on Sports Time. There's Eden. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, make sure to comment down below, and make sure to hit that bell for post notifications for every video and update from our channel. Until then, everybody, we will see you later, everybody. I'm Darius. Until then, everybody, peace and love.